Project Creator is proudly hosted on Anchor.fm. If you haven't heard of Anchor, it is the easiest way to make a podcast. First of all, it's free. There are free creation tools to help you record and edit, and Anchor will distribute your podcast for you to Spotify, Apple Podcast, and so many more. Best of all, you can make money from your podcast with no minimum listenership. It's everything you need to make a podcast all in one place. Download the free Anchor app or go to Anchor.fm to get started on your podcast today. Thank you for listening to Project Creator. My guest this episode is YouTube ghost story narrator Phantom of Darkness, who I have the pleasure of knowing as my good friend Chris. We talked about Phantom's craft and how he has built a successful channel and following on YouTube narrating scary stories. His process, his inspirations, how he views his relationships with his fans, and how he's always seeking to learn and better himself and his content. You can check out all of Phantom of Darkness's videos on his YouTube channel, and you can follow the Phantom himself on Twitter. Those links are in the description below. If you would like to be a guest on Project Creator and share your creator journey with the world, please get in touch. And if you want to hear exclusive behind-the-scenes conversations with my previous guests, I invite you to visit the Patreon link in the description, and of course, I appreciate your support. Chris, Phantom, welcome, my friend, to Project Creator. I'm so glad to have you. How are you, sir?
I'm good. How are you?
Doing well, doing well. So I did a little bit of a lead in at the beginning to kind of give folks an idea of who you are and what you do. But I always like to give the guests the opportunity to introduce themselves. So can you tell us, who are you? Who is Phantom of Darkness? What is it that you actually do, sir?
Okay, well, that's a good question because sometimes I struggle with myself trying to figure out who I am exactly. So, so basically, I do scary stories on YouTube, and I focus on ghost stories, of varying lengths. I like to stick around like 30 to 40 minutes per video. So that's basically essentially what I do.
And so you do the horror story narrations. You, I believe, focus as much as possible on what are considered to be true ghost stories. Like you go for stuff that is more recent stories that people are telling, more modern stories. I don't hear you often like telling the old, things. Like you're not out there telling the Legend of Sleepy Hollow or something. You're actually kind of going for what are current stories out there. Where do you find and how do you decide what scary story is actually fit for your channel?
Yeah, that's actually a really good question. So basically I kind of scour the internet to find something that actually has like legitimate like credibility to it. So basically, I know a lot of people kind of like hate on ghost stories a little bit because like they want to put it in that fiction category, right? So like what I like to do is just for the plausibility of it, like I just want to make sure that I just kind of scour the internet to find ghost stories that like they're plausible. It's not something that's like so offlandish that it's something that you can't really believe. So at least I want to believe that the person, the author who's actually writing the story is actually telling a genuine story. So that way it makes it funner for me, because I do like realism. I do like stories that actually get you to think and lets if it's something worth listening to, because that's what I believe in the most, to be honest with you. I just want something that people can listen to and to take seriously, because they're like I said, ghost stories are not very compared to like the stalker stories or like the other genres. Those types of stories are, I don't know, they have an appeal to me, but I want it to be on that caliber of those stories that people can actually listen to and be like, okay, well, it's not just like a ghost randomly flying into your room and saying, having a cup of tea and talking to them, So, that's basically the beginning process and stage of like what I do in terms of like finding stories is I want to make sure that I find stories that are actually legitimate, like in my mind, even if they, are claiming that it's true. Even if they lie, at least make it plausible for me so I can believe it. So I don't know. I usually take them on their word, like the authors who are actually telling the story, but that's essentially what I believe in, if that makes any sense. Like, I don't know if I explained that correctly.
Yeah, no, that makes sense. And because that makes me wonder, are there any obvious, giveaways or things that when you read something and you go, oh Christ, that's horse crap, right? Is there anything that tends to come up in the stories you come across that make you go, dude, nobody would ever believe that? I don't even believe that. Okay, moving on. Next one. What kind of thing comes up that disqualifies a story for you?
Well, usually something that's like totally like outlandish, like I said, like totally off the wall stuff. Like, people on the internet, they like to exaggerate and they fabricate, and you know how people embellish a lot in general. They want that attention. So when you're looking for these particular stories, it's kind of like you just want to make sure that, like, because I review the stories beforehand, so I'm reading them over. I don't just like dive in and like immediately read and see if it's good, because like, it could be a bad story and I don't want to deal with something that's like poorly written. Or sometimes I'll actually kind of use grammar to spice it up and kind of like fix it myself, but I'll never actually change the events of the story. I'll just make it more easier to like understand for the audience. But the thing that really gets to me is when people just like make up things that are like, what's a good example? Like, I don't know, like that people are like, there's a conversation that certain people have where, they're talking about ghosts and they're just like, oh, we're like all at the dinner table and we're like, and then suddenly ghost flies into the room and you like stare at it for like, I don't know, like 30 seconds or 40 seconds, and you point and you're like having conversation, like debating whether it's a ghost or not. And, and like the whole family's like gathered around the table. They're just like thinking about it. They're like having this deep prophetic conversation. I don't know, like that kind of, I don't know if that makes sense, but like,
so you can kind of smell that out pretty quick and go, okay, like that's too much of a novelization of something. Like you're putting
right
exposition and now there's characters with different dialogue. I go, okay, hold on.
Right.
That's not where we want to be.
Like, when they talk about like fiction works, and like when you open up like a book of fiction, like, and like for example, like Harry Potter, the way it's written, it's really beautifully written, but there's something that's like, there's some kind of like aspect to it where you just know, like even if it didn't even have like the cover on it, it said it was fiction, you just know that it's fiction, and for ghost stories it's like the same thing, because everybody wants that recognition, everybody wants their story to be written and they want people to hear it, but not everybody's genuine and truthful. They just want the attention of it. So I guess like what I do to try to actually figure out if a story's like fake or not, or I just, look at the details. I'm like, is this like legitimate? Like, I know, as far as ghost stories are concerned, it's like already kind of like a gray area. So, I just make sure, like, does it check out? Like, is this something that can actually make sense, like in the real world, as crazy as that sounds?
Because when things happen in real life, right? And you think about real experiences that everyday people like you and I have in the real world, memory is a weird thing, right? If you talk to somebody who's ever been like in an actual car accident, if you read a story by an author about people that were in a car accident, there's so much more detail than anyone who was actually in a car accident would ever remember, right? Memory gets spotty. Blue becomes green. He came from my left. Well, no, he came from your right. Oh, so I think I understand better how you can kind of discern that feeling of realism that says this is somebody explaining something that happened to them, as opposed to somebody who's trying to write a fictional story and follow grammar and sentence structure and things like that.
Right.
Do you find Do you find that you have any difficulty in folks coming back and going, hey, no, you can't read my story. That's my intellectual property. Like, have you ever run into that kind of stuff where you have to negotiate with somebody? No.
Because it's funny because like I've like websites where I actually seek out, and they're like really old stories that have been written like years ago on the internet. So that's been my strategy for the longest time. It's like find stories that, like back in the day. I mean, there are people who will probably come up to me at some point. It hasn't happened yet, but who will, will probably claim that, I've read their story and they're not happy with it. But generally, people actually want to do the opposite. They want to actually share the story. So, like for example, if I'm doing like a user submission, people are like really, really open to actually sharing their experiences. So I don't know. I don't think people have really given me any grief about that.
That's good.
It's been mostly like my thumbnails for some reason, like because I use like art from different like websites and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And like some people will be like, and I'll always credit the author, and not author, but always credit the artist. And like a couple times it's happened to me where they go, hey, why are you using my thumbnail or the thumbnail art? And I'm like, oh, sorry, do you want me to take it down? And then I take it down and there's like silence, like they don't say anything after that. So they only say that briefly on the comment, on YouTube.
With all of the tricky, treacherous, oh my God, everything on YouTube is a copyright problem. Like that, right. That's got to be the most obnoxious thing in the world to have somebody pop up and go, hey, you can't use my image that I downloaded from somebody else, but I claim ownership of it. Come on. Right. I get into, because, I on YouTube, I think some of us have run into that kind of thing where oh, good Lord, copyright claim. Yeah, but you know what? I looked at your website and I don't think you were the original copyright owner either, but I don't know. There's always somebody out there looking to complain about something.
Oh, yeah. No, that's happened plenty of times.
But you actually kind of preemptively answered the next question I was going to ask you, which is user submissions. So I didn't know. I meant to ask you whether or not you actually were ever taking submissions from your fans.
Yeah, I do take them, but like I usually go and get the internet stories first. But like, the problem with me is like I don't always ask for stories. I kind of like my process is this, like basically I like to do like stories where it's a complete surprise, like they don't know what they're getting. So like when I upload a video, I want it to be a fresh experience. So if one person is aware of that I'm doing their story and it's going to be it's going to be presented in the next video, like I kind of like to leave that element of surprise so that they're really experiencing something great. And not that their stories aren't great or anything, but just like I like to keep it like fresh and like a unique experience in that sense, if that makes sense.
Yeah. So, I mean, because I have to imagine, right, having over the course of these years that I've known you, watching your viewership grow, watching your comment sections get more and more vibrant and active, I have to think that there's regular fans of yours out there that are knocking on the door and going, Phantom, you got to read my thing, right? Do you have some?
Actually, it's funny because the fact that you said that actually makes me segue into a different point that I'm probably shouldn't get too far off the the topic, but like I actually have fans that will sometimes send me like random poetry, and just the other day I had like one of my dedicated fans. He said he wanted to show me a poem like about a cat, and it was just like a nice little Halloween themed poem, and he wasn't submitting any like story. Obviously, he just wanted to share something that meant a lot to him. So I thought that was really sweet, and I thought wow, like I didn't realize I had that much of an impact on people, that they would just have that kind of connection with me where they email me random poetry that I didn't even know existed in the first place, and they're saying this means a lot to me, so I'm sharing it with you.
That's dude, that's some holy grail kind of stuff for any content creator, right? I've experienced that where you just have a connection with somebody that shows that they want to know you as a genuine person, but they're a fan of your work. And that is, I mean, bravo, I guess that's a really cool thing to be able to say that a fan, like, did he ask you like, hey dude, I want to share this with you. This poem's important to me. And like, could you read it in your voice? Is that what the kind of thing he was doing? Or was it literally just, no, man, I want you to.
No, he was just sharing it he was sharing it just for the fact of, for the sake of sharing it.
That's so cool.
I mean, I felt honored, like I said, like because, like, well, let me tell you this though, because like YouTube has changed my life for the better because, like before YouTube, I got into other things. Like I did some amazing things, like published poetry myself. So that was like a really great experience for myself. But aside from YouTube and like kind of starting a literary career, I haven't really found much success in anything at all. So just to have like this platform where people are actually seeing me as this godly creator, not exactly, but you know what I mean? Like just, what some people perceive to be godly, which I don't think, I think I'm just a regular guy, obviously, maybe less than a regular guy, but, yeah, it's just, it's mind blowing to me that people even like hold me in that regard. So to, feel like I'm actually doing something that I'm succeeding in for once is a blessing, to be honest with you. Like I'm very thankful for it, and I don't take it for granted. That's for sure.
I will take that and I will segue it towards where I wanted to go, but I got to do a little bit of a build up on this first. Okay, so anybody that's hearing this may be able to figure out. I've said it a couple times. Like you and I have known each other online for nearly 5 years ish or so. So I'll quickly tell the story of how I met you. And I love, it's such a weird thing to live in a digital world because I've never met you. I think you're something like 650 miles away from me if I looked at the map properly, but I know you. And I consider you a friend, and we talk from time to time, or we'll message once in a while. Hey, did you see this? Hey, bro, how you doing? Whatever. So I started my current YouTube channel in June of 2016. I know that you started uploading your scary story reads roughly October the year before. October of 2015 is when you started putting out, and it was like a new venture for you, and it just very quickly you found that niche and that comfort level. But anyways, so I can't remember exactly where it was, but I think it was either Reddit. On Reddit. Thank you, Reddit.
Yeah, it was Reddit. Yeah, I remember that. On Reddit. I think I sent you a comment.
You did
on a video that you did, right?
Yeah.
And I forgot what I said, obviously, but like
it was like weird because I was only, I swear to God, 3, 4, maybe 5 videos into my YouTube channel.
Right.
I didn't know what I was doing. I was still figuring stuff out. It was, to quote a friend of mine, it was hot garbage.
It was gold garbage to me then. I immediately fell in love with your content myself. So like, just being able to see someone who actually genuinely like had like thoughts that he put out into the world, it was just like a really eye-opening experience for me because obviously I was a little bit younger then, so I was still trying to figure out things in my life that I wanted to piece together, and see you like basically like this guy, regular working guy, like really hard worker, great work ethic, talking about his family, talking about the things that really move him and drive him, your job and everything. Like I like regular people, and I like, that's the kind of thing that I really appreciate. Like I love a regular person who can just, go to work and just enjoy life and just be the person that you are. You know what I mean?
Well, and you were, man, right out of the gate. You were literally the first person who said boo to me, no pun intended, for scary stories. But and I stopped and I go, wow, that's like the nicest thing anybody's ever said to me. And so I jumped over and I'm like, well, let me go see what this guy's all about. And I find your scary stories, and I'm like, okay, well, I'm a Halloween baby as it is. My birthday's the day before Halloween. I'm a ghost geek. I am a paranormal lover. I'm wow. And I instantly fell in love with what you do because I had no idea at the time. This is, mid 2016. I did not know of the existence of this type of horror story narration was a
Right.
thing. Like, I learned about it through you by watching your videos and hearing you talk about in different conversation pieces, talk about the I guess, would you call it an industry, but right, that YouTube community of
Mhm.
horror story narrators, and there's some backbiting and some sniping and all this other nonsense, but you seem to just be able to just like float above the fray and just be like the nicest guy, honest, genuine, just connecting with people and doing your thing and vibing on your videos. Okay, we met back then. That's how long we've known each other. We've
Right.
had one or two, like, I think we might have been able to do this like once or twice on like a Facebook call or something. I don't even remember, a long time ago. But in terms of that, like, now that's the whole build up. I just spent like 4 minutes building up to this question, right?
That's fine.
Talking about getting into that community and kind of breaking into something that is considered a niche that comes with a lot of, I guess, baggage, right? There's already an established culture. There's already big name players. There's already a lot of expectations. So can you talk to me about what it was like when you started to see more activity, more responses, more results, and you found yourself like really moving into this horror narration community?
Yeah. Like you just said, it's like the market is so saturated, and it's really hard to stick out as a creator who does stories, And like everybody, it seems like everybody has a really good voice. So there's, I don't want to call it a competition because I don't see my peers as like competition at all. I just feel like they're just people that I can work with occasionally to create projects and collabs, if you want, collaboration. Sorry, but basically, I don't know, like the feeling of like actually getting like more traction is it's mind blowing to me, honestly. Um, because like I worked so hard at it, like as a person who's so driven, like I guess I can say I'm kind of Machiavellian in the sense that like I don't want to like when I start a project, I'm never going to quit until I get the results I want, and so like I'm kind of like driven to that degree, and it could be like either really taxing on my mental health sometimes, or it could be really rewarding. So I'm still trying to find a balance of like actually making sure that I'm taking care of myself, which is really important, but um, also having fun and working as hard as I can.
And you were somebody that I as I got to know you better, and I think I gravitate towards people that have this particular personality trait, is that work ethic, right? You said that about me a few minutes ago, and that's what I recognize in you. And again, those are kind of the contemporaries that I keep in my quote unquote internet circle, are folks that put in the work and that take their work seriously. And because I get the sense when I looked around a little bit at some of the others, right, and this is way back a couple years ago when I really started to try to understand your community and where it came from and what it was all about. I just saw that there were personalities that were, they do a good job, but I also saw that there were people who were maybe doing it for the wrong reasons, and it wasn't a craft to them. It was a way to get famous on YouTube. And that's not what you went in for, right? I've never seen you as somebody that was there trying to make it big, right? You're just doing something you love.
And this may sound a little bit morbid, but I really hope I don't die tomorrow. But if I were to like pass away for some reason, before, I can really, continue my channel, I'd be really happy. I mean, I've accomplished a lot that I wanted to do, and I've seen growth in myself that honestly, like, I doubted before, and just see everything come to fruition because, I take everything so seriously, but also have that balance of like having fun with it. It's just, I feel like I've done, I'm not satisfied because I never want to be satisfied with my work. Otherwise you're going to be complacent. And if you're complacent, you're not going to work as hard. And and then you feel like you have nothing to prove. So I kind of like having that chip on my shoulder where, I feel like I still haven't done anything yet. And I feel like to a certain degree I haven't, but sometimes you need that self-awareness, sorry. And just kind of like take a step back and realize, you know, if, if you have to miss like a certain, video, and just kind of take care of yourself, that's fine too, but don't lose sight of like having fun with what you're doing and working hard and treating it like it really matters to you, because I feel like the audience won't notice if you're not having fun with it either.
Yeah, I think they definitely clue in. I see that when I look at your comments, right? I see people that when they comment, it's not like, I don't see a preponderance of, oh, Phantom, you're so awesome. No, I see comments of, man, that was so good. I thank you for that story. That helped me calm down and relax tonight. I mean, I fell asleep to that, and I just felt so relaxed and at peace hearing you tell that story. Like I get this sense that your fans in your community, they're not like fanboying you. They are like genuinely supporters and followers that appreciate the quality of work that you put out.
Right. No, I agree with you. I feel like I've formed like intimate bond with them that honestly, like I wouldn't trade it for anything in the world. It's just kind of like they're not fans to me. They're like, I hate that word, honestly. I prefer to call them like friends. Like they're people that, they're there on the channel for a reason. But I just don't want to seem like, I'm this untouchable guy that nobody can like relate to me in the first place. I want to be that guy who, just is someone who works really hard at the end of the day and people can just reach out to if they want to. That's it. Like there's nothing to it other than that. I don't want to be this guy who thinks he can't relate to his fans at all, because, I used to be that fan, so I understand, like, it really means a lot when people interact with each other, especially someone that you really like and you really admire, or that you just like want to understand their work and everything. So yeah, like I definitely see like a connection between the fans and mine that I honestly don't think I see anywhere besides like a couple other channels, but it really feels like a blessing.
Yeah. And it's a byproduct of the work that you do, combined with the, again, that sort of just approachable, genuine, everyday guy goofiness when I need to be goofy. You present yourself as just approachable and yes, in the moment, right, when it's time, when the show is on, you don't sound anything. I mean, the cold aside, when I've talked to you and heard your voice outside of the narration, like I hear you drop into character and I hear you go as Phantom narrating, and it is like, it's a neat experience for me. Do you feel like you transform into character, so to speak? Is there a character to that voice that we're hearing come through those videos?
Well, absolutely. I mean, the thing is, I'm supposed to sell the fact that like it's entertainment. So, I treat it as a movie production, like a song, an album, like a masterpiece, like a work of art. Like, I'm not saying that I'm like the greatest entertainer ever. I'm not saying that at all. But I'm just saying, like, when I get into my mode, I want to feel like I'm enjoying it. Like, I want to feel like I'm a part of it. Like, it's not just an extension. Like, I am, the voice in the stories. I'm living these experiences. So, I mean, I don't know. Like when you listen to a Queen song, for example, you feel the raw emotion in the songs, like when Freddie's, singing. And that's just the same way I do with my, my YouTube videos, with my recordings. It's like, I want to make sure that it's the best song that I could possibly make, and that's really what it comes down to, is like making sure that, like it actually feels the energy, like I feel the energy of what I'm doing. And, I don't know, that's, when everything is done, like I'm in that moment and, I'm making that video and I just want it to be good, without sounding redundant, but,
Have you ever found a moment in making a video where you were struggling with it and, you know, working through, and it just wasn't clicking the right way. It didn't sound right. Have you ever, I guess the way to phrase it, my question is, have you ever hit a wall with a particular story and had to go, Jesus, I can't do this. One's unrecoverable. I can't make this good. I thought this was a good story. It sounded good when I read it, but I, for the life of me, cannot make this thing work in this translated medium. Has that ever happened?
I've gotten really close. I would say, like, yeah, it does happen actually quite a bit. But like what I tell myself is like, I'm going to power through this. I already started the story. I don't want to like quit midway through because, you know, like I'm a person who likes to like finish what I start. So when I start to sit down and actually do my recording, like I plan to finish everything, you know, even if I like make the mistake of making a story that, or not making a story, but recording a story that like turns out to be not that cool or interesting. Like I already started the story. I'm like halfway through, like, it would be kind of foolish for me, and like at least in my mind, to just kind of abandon that because, you know, it may not be like, you know, the best story in that moment, or may not have been like the best, you know, production in that moment. But like to me, finishing is everything. Run through the tape, kind of saying. So like when that expression really holds true to my stories and my recording process in general. But at the same time, I take it really seriously. So I do want quality, but I have to understand, at least when I tell myself these things, that, I don't want to settle for, something less than I'm capable of. So if going into a video and a story is just not working, or my voice is not operating the way it should be, and sometimes I'll scrap it, but in most cases I'll be like, you know what, maybe, if my fans really like the story, they'll overlook the fact that my voice is hoarse, for example, or that, I just don't have it like I usually do. Or the story is just not, clicking. Like, hopefully that'll resonate with them and they'll learn to appreciate it. But most importantly, I just want to get the story done. I not for the sake of like, oh, it sucks. Like I hate recording, but like I can't not finish what I start.
Do you find yourself having to like, is editing ever a heavy lift for you in these moments where you have to like, all right, there's this raw recording. I've just plowed through this thing for the last 35 minutes. And good golly, I have stuff I have to clean up and take out outtakes or missteps, or you had to breathe in at the wrong time and stuff like that. How much editing is involved in the final product that you put out?
Oh, quite a bit. I mean, like it's never going to be a perfect recording. Every time you sit down and you record, a story or, whatever it is. I mean, it goes for everything. Like any piece of audio, you have to do some kind of editing. So, just the editing process can be like an hour or two extra. But like the recording itself takes like 7 or 8 hours, at least.
Really?
So,
oh,
yeah.
Wow.
So like, there's a lot of misconceptions. A lot of people think that ghost stories and like narrating in general is like so easy. You can literally just like do a story in like 10 minutes and, everything will be okay, and it'll be perfect. And as long as you're a good narrator, everything will just fall into place. And that's just not the reality of the situation. Like, it's art, just like any other practice or any other medium. And you just have to do the best you can. And there's always a trial and error process that goes along with it. And, yeah, that's basically it. I mean, other than that, like if you get the fundamentals down, I think the fundamentals are really important, especially for, any content creator. If you get those down, then things can be seemingly easier, but it never gets like super easy to the point where, everything's going to be a cakewalk, Everything is a process. I mean, I don't know. It's just like the fact that, people kind of like have these misconceptions about, the process of doing like a video, or, narrating. I don't know.
Well, I think I get it because, right, in when I translate the experience to what I do on YouTube, right, I never thought about it that way, right? For me, I know when I was making the longer and I'm filming myself in my car and I'm setting up these scenes and these shots and I'm trying to get this thing, I'm trying to get this stupid thing, and I've got, good Lord, I've got 6 hours worth of raw video that I now have to sort through and find the right camera angle, find the right lighting, and piece the story together and whatever. I guess I never considered that there's that level of raw footage, so to speak, raw audio, 7-8 hours to make that 35-minute story. I'm genuinely surprised by that. Like, wow, that is a mountain of work. Wow.
And, I'll say this, a lot of people, like, I know they mean very well, but like when they actually demand like a story to be like, delivered to them like every single day, like, I'll have fans and I love them dearly. But the thing is, like, I don't think sometimes they really get like how hard it is to like put everything together in like a day. They're like, oh, I like, say for example, like I released an hour-long video. It took me basically the entire day, 12 hours, let's say, just recording straight. I'll upload the video and they'll be like, can you do this like every single day? And I'm like, I mean, if I had that, I still have to live my life, I mean, as much as I love this and as much as I get consumed by my own narrations, it's just like, there's a certain point where, I got to take a break. I got to decompress and, I got to rest my voice. Like I can't like constantly pop out content that's like an hour plus long just because, it's suitable for everybody else. And, I'd love to like that. I mean, in a perfect world, that'd be amazing. But
well, I mean, it's more than a day job, right? If it's 12 hours worth of talking, for God's sakes, nobody talks for 12 hours.
Exactly.
Professionally, newscasters are only on for a few hours at a time. That's a pretty heavy lift.
I was going to say that doesn't even count all the mess ups and screw ups. Like you have to re-record. So it's like that on top of, having to over record almost. So
right. Just to be able to get what you need for that final product. Let me ask you a bit more about the channel itself and the community. So again, kind of rewind the clock a little bit. When you and I met 2016 or so, I want to say that you were definitely a little bit ahead of the game than I was because you had started like 6-8 months earlier. But you hadn't at that time. We were all still kind of relatively new, right? We were small YouTubers is what we all called each other. And, we were getting started. We were getting our feet wet and figuring things out. And then I don't remember specifically when it was, dude, but it just seemed like there were a couple of times over the last 4 years where your channel would experience these mini explosions of growth that just boggled my mind. And I would look at it and go, whoa, that's so freaking cool. Like all of a sudden I look over one day and you're at like 16,000 subscribers and I'm going, how? What in the world? How did that happen? Like, so what have those moments been like? Because now, if we look at the channel right now, Phantom of Darkness on YouTube, you're just north of 29,000 subscribers now, 4 years in, which means you are outpacing the vast majority of small channels never get to that level, right? Most people, like where am I at? I don't know, 3,000 or some crap.
That's a lot to me. So, I mean.
Right. And it is to me too. But when you look at like what, that measurement of, recognition on YouTube comes from that exponential growth, right? You must have hit the right note at the right time. Like, can you recall anything that was happening in those moments where all of a sudden your subscriber count just went bonkers?
Well, it's funny that you should say that, like, because it almost seems like you're saying it's like it magically all of a sudden like just started, to produce results. But the thing is, like, I actually did a lot of studying into YouTube. Like, when I'm like so obsessed with something and I really want to make sure that everything goes my way. And, obviously in a perfect world, everything is supposed to go your way if you want it to, right? But it's not a perfect world. So there's going to be some pitfalls and things that you need to know in order to like stay above water, I guess. Um, but basically, like it. I did a lot of studying. Like when I'm obsessed with something, I want to know the ins and outs of everything. So I literally studied YouTube. I studied the algorithm. I studied, like what works, like keywords and everything. Like I literally seeked, a couple of gurus, and I literally, with a pen and paper, I literally jot down their notes. They were telling me, in a video, for example, I would watch a video and they would say, "Oh, you need to do this, this, and that for your channel." And I'm like, okay. So I jotted down, and that's basically, how I wanted to make sure um, I got kind of a leg up on the situation that I was currently experiencing. So first of all, like I wanted to make sure that I was delivering content that was unique, and I had a product that was something that people would want to watch. So, um, basically, when I tried to figure out, like, okay, like, I have this channel, but what do I want to be like? What do I want to show to people to stand above, everybody else? So I literally just, like every single day I would like literally jot down notes, and I'd be like, okay, what are these, like what's so special about what I can do in that current moment to, you know, really market myself and actually make myself better as a content creator. So I literally just went in and, from day one, pretty much, jot down notes and, watch YouTube creators who were gurus and basically applied it to my channel. And there were a lot of struggles. Like, obviously, it didn't happen overnight. There's a lot of experimentation and things that, worked for me and didn't work for me. But I was just thinking to myself, if I'm just really consistent, I mean, like, do the best I can and just put out content that, people can actually identify with. That's basically the nucleus of the whole situation. So I don't know. I just kind of I like studying things, and I like, getting absorbed in the moment and learning more about things, because if you have more knowledge, if you have more information, then chances are statistically you'll probably do a lot better, right? If you're more informed and you know things, So that's what I try to do.
It is 100% about that key. And this just seems to come up so often in the creators that I talk to on this show. Work ethic, right? Over and over, when I hear people describe what it was they did that got them to where they are, it's the work, right? It is this time and the study, and to put that additional effort, not just on top of making your recordings the best they can, making this quality product, but also what you're telling me is you found that moment where you knew, okay, I need to learn how this platform works. I need to learn what it's going to take for YouTube and the YouTube community to recognize what I'm doing. Things like keywords, things like, posting the right, not hashtags on YouTube anymore. That's old school, but right. And learning how, right, to position it the right way and follow things. So yeah, it's really interesting to see when somebody goes through that kind of growth, because the key thing for me is it didn't change you, right? I've known some other folks in our YouTube space that got changed by all of a sudden going to 10,000, all of a sudden going to 20,000. And maybe it's not all of a sudden. You're right. I should probably walk that back a little bit, right? Like you said, it wasn't some magic overnight bullet, but it was the fact of just seeing those growth rates kick up. It seems to change people sometimes, and they maybe do get a little too big for their britches, and that's never been you.
Well, here's the thing. Like, I don't think it necessarily changes people. I think it reveals them, because, I feel like deep down inside, they always have that mentality. But, like you give, like, let's say, figuratively, you give like a man, $5 billion and see the personality start to change. Well, was it really their personality changing, or was it that they had more resources and now they have the power, quote unquote, and they really just, became who they are because, like, we only saw it from our lens, our
Hmm.
perspective, but they were always like that before, So I think it really boils down to, like, sometimes I feel like sometimes people do. I think whether it's out of insecurity, like they want to feel better about themselves by a number, or all the success, but I feel like generally people are who they will be, but there's a small fraction of people who legitimately change. But I don't know. I like to be who I am. I hate like that's the thing I hate about people. Honestly, like it's like I like I've always wanted to be a genuine person. Like I always want to be the same person I've always been my entire life, you know. And it just kind of breaks my heart to see people who seem like they were really nice people, and all of a sudden they do a 180, and they're no longer the person that you thought they were.
But to your point, you make a very pressing point, which is, yeah, they really were that person. And I think, it's funny you say that. And I remember reading that not too long ago that, money doesn't make a person, it reveals them.
Right.
I read that recently. So good. You corrected me on that one. That's a good catch. You don't become someone else. You just shows you who you really are. And, I am interested to see how you continue to grow, where this continues to go for you. Your most recent content has been a blast to watch. You've started putting yourself on camera. It's always been sort of the narrator in the background of some nice. I always love your aesthetic, man. Like the driving it. Again, I'm a driving guy, right? So I love the car running down the road at night with the lights, or the creepy sort of whatever it's a graveyard scene, or whether it's just like in the woods at night kind of stuff. And then more recently, you have definitely kind of like opened up more and more and more to your audience and to your friends and fans, putting yourself on camera, having more just talk, right? And what has that been like to kind of translate away? Maybe there's just a little bit more Chris on this channel than there is Phantom right now. Just for the moment, let's just have some fun. And you did a walkthrough of a cemetery and a pet cemetery, and it was just, bro, it was you,
right?
And it was like the most real thing, like, and because the voiceovers are a character, so to speak. They are the Phantom, right? But this was Chris, and this was Chris sharing something cool and creepy and interesting and positive. What's that been like to make that kind of those moves lately?
Well, it's like we talked about earlier. It's like it's very liberating. Like it's a very liberating experience. But just to know that like I can be myself, and like I mean, obviously the video underperformed compared to my regular stuff, but
sure.
I mean, but it's not like that's not what my channel's for. Like people don't come for the cemetery visits and whatnot, but the response was everything though. Like the people responding, and they were engaging. Like I still have the same amount of comments. It was just the views that were different. So in my mind, that was like just as gratifying to me. Gratifying. Can I even talk these days? But yeah,
I hope so.
I need my voice, obviously, but yeah, no, it was just it's just it's nice to be able to branch out and do things that are just like more than just me being a narrator, because I'm so much more than just a narrator. I feel like I'm a person who has feelings, and I'm human, and I have all these emotions, and I have all these ideas. There's things in my head right now that I want to get out and make into a video. Like I really want to do full-on productions, like with interviews with people, and do those old productions of like ghost, those ghost stories where it used to be on like TV, where people get interviewed and they'll have reenactments and everything. I would like to at least try that once in my life, and put it onto my YouTube channel and like stuff like that. It's like I want to do like ghost hunting and stuff, like, even though I'm terrified of ghosts and like I feel like something will attach itself to me. It's just like, yeah, I don't know. Like I just want to do things. I want to do bigger and bolder things, but still be myself at the same time, and still do narrations and just innovate and like pioneer YouTube is crazy. It sounds kind of like narcissistic to say, but just I want to be like the first person to do something completely original, at least in my genre, and like kind of break ground. So I'm really thankful for what I'm able to do. I'm thankful for all the ideas that are somehow, ending up in my mind, and, I'm able to like process that and put it onto presentation in the form of like, certain videos that I make. But really, I don't know. I'm just grateful for everything. So,
well, and you know what, it shines through and it shows, and it's, you can be grateful and feel good about being grateful because you earned it, right? It wasn't handed to you. It didn't just show up out of the blue. You have done the groundwork from day one. I watched before we jumped on. I was like, I want to get a little refresher, and I jumped back and I watched your very, very first horror story narration. And I was like, I could feel it. Even in the beginning of that, there was this like, all right, so I haven't done this before. This is going to be kind of new, but I'm going to give this a shot, and I think this is going to be pretty cool.
I think I literally said that in my first video too.
You absolutely did.
I actually started the video by actually having a conversation to my audience
yes.
that I didn't have at all. I had 0 subscribers, so
right.
I was literally talking to nobody, and I was saying, "Hey, here's the deal. I'm going to start this narration thing, and if you guys like it, subscribe." But I didn't know who I was talking to.
Sure. And so all of you small YouTubers out there, anybody who's just starting a channel, listen, that's what you're supposed to do. Do it. You need to go ahead and just be in your space, in your moment, on your channel, doing your thing. It doesn't matter who's listening or not listening or watching and not watching. You are there to present your product, to present your entertainment, whatever it is. Take it from Phantom here. It doesn't matter. Talk as if there's pretend it's a full room when it's not, because that's when you're going to learn your craft and you're going to get good at what you do. Make the mistakes, even though there's nobody watching. Go ahead, make mistakes. And I think that as you continue to grow and learn, I see nothing but increased, satisfaction in what you do. I see more growth. I would love to see. You better damn well believe I'm going to knock on your door. If you ever go ghost hunting, you better call me. Cause like, I'm going to go get me a FLIR camera, and I don't even know. I need an EMF detector. Right. Where the hell do I buy one of those? Like you and me, bro, we're doing this. It's happening. But, no, I'm super glad that you came on and spent this time with me and told your story and shared your insights. That's the most important thing for this show, for Project Creator, is to really help understand the mind of a creator, and what you do and how you do it is valuable to others out there.
And can I say something? One other thing. It's like, I feel like learning never stops. Like, when you're doing a project, it's always going to be a project that you're continuously working on. And so never stop learning, never stop challenging yourself, and always try to strive for your best, because, the moment you feel like you're satisfied, the moment you feel like you've done it all, there's no point in actually continuing that, because if you know everything, what's the point? Like, if you're not feeling that same, adulation that comes from, working hard on a project, if you don't want to learn more about it, then it just becomes a formality, and just, you're walking through the motions of everything, and it's not worth it to me, at least, because I don't know, like, you just need to know how to keep that energy alive in your heart and your brain and everything, and just like keep going forward. Always be willing to learn and never stop, because, I don't know if that makes any sense, but
well, stay hungry, right? Stay motivated, keep learn something new every single day. And even if it's not learning about something on your content, learn something about yourself, right? Go on those journeys of self-discovery, let yourself be who you really are, and it will shine through in your content.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Awesome, man. Phantom, Chris, buddy, thank you so much for being my guest on the show today. I appreciate it. I look forward to seeing where we go with Phantom of Darkness in the future.
All right. Thank you.